All right. Now let's take exactly the same concept, same idea that I just explained to you before, and let's apply it to going back in time as opposed to trying to go across the Atlantic Ocean. Let's go back in time 5 minutes and see what happens. Now, in the present tense, we're back in Washington, by the way. In the present tense, volume Washington, D.C., at the present time, ignores writes that occur in the past. So remember, I said we don't destroy 974D when it's overwritten by CB45. We just leave it alone, but we ignore it because we're operating in the present time. And it's, in fact, irrelevant to the present time because it's been overwritten by CB45. Make sense? Now, if we wanted to create another volume in Washington, D.C. of the data as it existed 5 minutes ago, all we have to do is create another metadata recipe. There's no seeding, there's no movement of data, there's nothing. It's all one big block store in Washington, D.C. We don't have to move any data. All we have to do is start ignoring the changes that have occurred after a certain period of time. Let's call it 501. So now, if a error was to come in, somebody was to overwrite block volume 1 offset 45 with corrupt data, or heaven forbid, opened up ransomware that unleashed a whole series of writes in an attempt to destroy all the data on that, or encrypt all the data on volume 1, we would end up with a whole string of writes down here, all commanding that these blocks be overwritten. But as you remember, we don't overwrite blocks, do we? We just write new ones. So there'd be a bunch of blocks down here that would have been written that are all essentially garbage, and we would just ignore them. And we would only go back to the block back here and get our information from prior to 5 o'clock. So we don't destroy data in the past. We just ignore it until we need to use it. And then when we need to use it, all we do is create a new recipe for the volume as it existed just a few seconds ago or a few minutes ago. Now, as you can see, there's no effort in doing this. It's not like we're saving journal files or something. We're just not destroying the data that is being overwritten. So we're just storing another block. So it really comes for free. There's no cost in this level of being able to go back and forth in time. And as I said, creating this metadata recipe for 501 really only takes, a few seconds. Very, very quick.